It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I am Tyler Kieft, joined as always by Kevin McIntosh. Kevin, happy Tuesday to you, another beautiful day in greater West Bloomfield.
What's going on, Tyler? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. You know what I got to say. Another day, another opportunity. And a wise philosopher by the name of 2 Chainz once said, if you woke up today, you are winning.
That is for sure, and we are already off to a winning start here in greater West Bloomfield. Some good news from our friends over at Vibe Credit Union and their community partners as well. We recently talked a lot about they were leading the charge on a food drive and a essential items drive for Holiday House Food Pantry in partnership with West Bloomfield Parks, the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, and West Bloomfield Township, with donation drop-off locations in 4 different spots across our community. They posted on Monday on their Facebook page. They were able to share an abundance of food and other essentials with Hospitality House. Here they are with Hospitality House's food pantry delivery vehicle, as you're seeing on your screen on civiccentertv.com, picking up all of those donations that you brought out to locations across West Bloomfield Township over the last couple of weeks. An 11-day drive was partnered between 4 different community organizations, including Vibe Credit Union, those West Bloomfield Township and West Bloomfield Parks organizations, and of course, Hospitality House. Kevin, great turnout for this. A lot of people going to be helped through Hospitality House as a result of this fundraiser, and showing that the greater West Bloomfield community again in the volunteering and giving season during Volunteer Month.
Hospitality House, man, a food pantry of choice where you can actually go in and select the food that you want rather than getting the same brand, generic brand. It's just a bunch of different food items that people donate to the pantry. So great job. And I guess I would love to applaud the work we did here at the Splash for helping to get the word out. I guess we got to take some of that credit, Tyler.
Very, very little of that credit from us. All we did was help to get the word out. We were happy to do so. Our friends both at Hospitality House and West Bloomfield Parks joining us in recent weeks to talk about that drive and talk about the work being done at Hospitality House. You can learn more about how you can help people in need of food assistance and other essentials in our community and ways you can get involved on the Hospitality House Food Pantry website, hhfp.org. You can also learn more about their efforts throughout our community and ways you can join in. See that in action on their Facebook page at HH Food Pantry. And of course, you want to learn more from our previous discussions, all of those with Megan Tahako and Susan Erspalmer about that drive and about that fundraiser can be found on civiccentertv.com. Over the past weekend, all eyes were on Detroit and the metro area as the city of Detroit hosted the 2024 NFL Draft. But not only were the stars shining from across the U.S. and around the NFL in Detroit, some included some local people with connections to West Bloomfield as well. Take a look.
Stevie is about to do the first ever draft pick from Ireland. Stevie?
With the 114th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Javon Foster, tackle, Missouri.
Javon Foster heading to the Jacksonville Jaguars to protect Trevor Lawrence, their quarterback over there, after a very successful career at the University of Missouri and also a very successful career before that right here in our community at West Bloomfield High School, where he played on both the offensive and the defensive line. Joining us now to talk about Javon Foster being drafted in the 4th round of this year's NFL Draft is one of his former coaches at West Bloomfield High School, now the head coach of the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team, Zach Hilbert. Zach, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, of course. Good morning.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about Javon's accomplishment because he becomes now the 2nd West Bloomfield Laker alum to be drafted into the NFL. Let's just start about this moment and the pride that you and your staff, both present and past from Laker Nation, take in having somebody like Javon get this big opportunity and have his name on the big stage in the NFL Draft.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what it comes down to is we're just really happy for him and excited for him and his family. It's like you said, it's such a big, cool event and a big moment in his life. And, you know, to be able to experience it in Detroit, like home. It just added so much that, he could be down there, excuse me, most of the weekend at these different events downtown. It's just awesome. I mean, we're just so happy for him, and we're excited for what's coming forward. I think he can go be great.
And it speaks also to the power of the West Bloomfield Lakers football program, especially over the last 10 years or so as the Ron Bellamy era concluded and really reached its peak with the state championship, and even just before that and into both Coach Grice and now your leadership on the team in the head coaching position, about where this program is in terms of how elite it is. Well, what does that say, that these accomplishments for Javon Foster, previously for Matthew Judon years ago when he was drafted in the 5th round in 2016 by the Ravens? How do you use that as sort of an example for your players now, that as they're in practice, as they're competing at the high school level, about what this does to build that foundation for potentially a long-standing football career?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what it comes down to is, like you mentioned, we've been blessed to have really good players for a few years now, and with that, it gives them these great opportunities in life. And a lot of times, that's just taking the next step, going to college, getting their degree partially paid for, and to kind of build a future from there. And if they're lucky enough, like you mentioned with Matthew and now Javon, they're able to take that next step further. And we're just really grateful to be part of the platform that helps these kids, really realize their dreams, keep moving forward. And we really hope that a year from now we're having a similar conversation about a few more guys that are still in school themselves.
And let's take that back to just a few years ago, 2018. Javon Foster graduates. He's in the program for years before that. But going to the beginning of his football career, I saw an interesting post from Coach Grice actually about Javon was initially a little bit reluctant to get into the game of football. He was a basketball player. There had to be a little bit of convincing in there. And so from the coaching staff's perspective, what did you guys see in Javon to try to really go all in and convince this young man that you could be great in the game of football?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he was really reluctant to play football. He just hadn't really done it. He grew up a basketball player.
Sure.
He was just so big and so athletic. He just kept getting bigger and bigger. And it was really, I think crucial to his development, like the footwork and coordination that he developed being a really, really good basketball player. Easily translated and made him a pretty effective football player once he got the hang of it. So his junior year was his first year in high school. Sorry, his junior year of high school was his first year playing. And there's some growing pains. You knew he could be really good. It just, wasn't all there yet. And then you saw him take this huge step his senior year and kind of figure it out, realize how big and strong and athletic he was. And that gave him the opportunity to go to Missouri, which was really right down to the wire. Most of his senior year, he was planning on going to Central Michigan, and he would have done great there as well. But the Missouri opportunity came, and he took it, and you just kept seeing him get better and better and better. And yeah, it was so cool to see.
We're joined by Zach Hilbers on the Splash Live today, head coach of the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team. And Zach, now currently wearing the number 9 for the New England Patriots, is another former draftee who is a West Bloomfield Laker alum, in Matthew Judon. He was drafted by the Ravens back in 2016. He's got his number retired, the 99 hanging above West Bloomfield High School. And is that sort of that litmus test? Should we expect to see Javon Foster's jersey number up there in a couple of years?
Hey, well, I hope so, because that means he's had a pretty successful career. So Matthew was, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Was probably on his way to his 4th straight this year before he got hurt and injured his bicep tendon and stuff. So if we get another one up there, it'll be a great thing, and that'll mean he's had a successful career. So I really do hope so. Hopefully we get a few more of them.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about Javon Foster being drafted in the 4th round of this year's NFL draft, 144th overall pick, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars to play offensive line for them after a successful career at Missouri. But he's not the only Laker going into the NFL after this draft cycle. Trey Mosley, one of the all-time great receivers in West Bloomfield Laker history, who just graduated after a successful career at Michigan State, also signing as this time as an undrafted free agent with the Cincinnati Cincinnati Bengals and getting an opportunity there. Talk about Trey also and what makes him such a standout player, because I mentioned this a little bit on Monday's edition of the show right after the draft, that he's a little bit more of that stoic leader that isn't necessarily a rah-rah guy out and about in when the spotlight's on him, but is definitely a motivator and a really excellent, hardworking player.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're both really good kids, Trey and Javon. They're just so different, which is kind of cool to see. You see a lot of it when you're a teacher and coach, where Javon was kind of always like a goofball, just hilarious kid. And Trey was he's a great kid, so polite, so well liked here by all of his teachers and staff. He could have been a captain as a sophomore, like realistically, the type of focus and drive and work ethic he had. Now he wasn't, because we happen to have really good upperclassmen leaders as well. But when the guys at Michigan State told me a couple of years ago that Trey's probably going to be one of our captains, I'm like, yeah, no kidding. He does just everything right. He does all those little things right. He's been greatly missed here at the school, but we're really happy for him as well too. Because if anybody deserves an opportunity and shot out there, it's him.
You can learn more about Trey Mosley's signing with the Cincinnati Bengals and Javon Foster being drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars on WestBloomfieldAthletics.com, and see even more about them on the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook page at West Bloomfield Schools. And Coach Hilbers, you mentioned that this is probably not the end of us talking about players from West Bloomfield going into the NFL in the coming years. We think about a year from now, we could see potentially two getting drafted very early on. Donovan Edwards going back to the University of Michigan for his senior season, and he is expected to be running back number 1, taking over for Blake Corum in Ann Arbor. Makari Page also going to be back on the defensive side. So two guys wearing the maize and blue number 7, used to wear the green and white West Bloomfield jerseys, possibly also going into the NFL next year. Now, speak to that and how that really cycles back to the success that the program has had. And not only have guys have great careers in high school, but go on and do great things at the collegiate level. And then beyond that, whether or not they go into the NFL or continue on with football at all, still have really successful lives leading as members of their community.
Yeah, and I think you kind of nailed it right there. Those two have a great shot and a great opportunity, and it's all in front of them. And Makari's a lot like Trey, just did so many little things just right. Just not a rah-rah kid, but just real quiet, unassuming, and just worked his tail off. And Donovan, for all the publicity and the highlights that he's garnered, and obviously he's deserved, but both in high school and the big college games that he's kind of popped off. Donovan's probably the hardest working kid that I've had here in 18 years, and we've had a lot of really good players, a lot of really hard workers, a lot of great leaders. Nobody worked harder than Don. So he's one of the more talented kids we've had, obviously, too. But it's that second thing, I think, that really sets him apart from so many people. It's just he's got a different kind of drive than most have.
And that's going to pay dividends for him in Ann Arbor with a bit of a transition this season. Sharon Moore taking over as the head coach after succeeding his predecessor, Jim Harbaugh, now head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL, a team that may be looking at some of these guys in the very near future. Coach Hilbers, thank you for your time today.
Oh, great. Always glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Congratulations to you, to your staff, both past and present from the West Bloomfield Laker football program, and, of course, to Javon Foster, Trey Mosley, and their families on successful high school, collegiate, and now hopefully very successful NFL careers as well. Learn more about their successes and follow their journeys on WestBloomfieldAthletics.com. In addition to accomplishments on the athletic field here in West Bloomfield, major accomplishments, too, in medicin, including at the Greater West Bloomfield's #1 employer, Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, recently received the magnet designation from the American Nurses Credentialing Center. And joining us to talk about this massive accomplishment happening at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is their Chief Nursing Officer, Stephanie Roberts-Newman, on the Splash Live. Stephanie, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this momentous occasion at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. We had you on in recent months to talk about the pursuit of the magnet designation. And now that you've reached that point, you've hit that pinnacle, what does this mean for not only you as the chief nursing officer, but for your nursing staff in particular at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital?
Well, it means a lot. It really shines a light on what we were already doing here at Henry Ford West Bloomfield. This is a recognition of things already accomplished in our organization. So it's very, very important to our nurses. It means that the hospital supports nurses in their professional and educational pursuits. It means that patients will receive the very best care from the very best nurses here at Henry Ford West Bloomfield.
And take us through a little bit of the process to get to this point. You mentioned this back when we had you on in February, but this wasn't an easy task. This wasn't something that just quickly happened from having the ANCC come in and see the great service being provided at Henry Ford West Bloomfield. What work went into obtaining this credentialing?
This is actually 4 years of work for us, and about 85 different stories is what they call them, explaining different aspects of the magnet criteria. You spend a lot of time talking about quality and safety of our patients, and we had to provide examples of all the quality initiatives and safety initiatives that we do. We had to provide examples of leadership in the organization and nurses being empowered, nurses having the ability to speak to people, nurses at the highest level of the organization, nurses expressing concerns about patient care or about their own well-being. All of those things went into this document, and we had 4 years of data and information to gather and put together in a large document. Our writers, starting with Wilfred Allen, who is our director for the Magnet program here, worked for about a year and a half writing these stories for us, really bringing to life on paper what we had already done from a quality, safety, and nursing support perspective. We turned in our document last April, April 1st to be exact. We heard back from them in July, which is not uncommon. They wanted more information on about 20 of our stories. We resubmitted that documentation in October. They gave us a few months to get that together. We heard from them in December that we would have a visit in February, end of February, beginning of March. We've been waiting since March 1st when they left to hear back from them, and we heard from them on April 22nd. So it was rather quick and exciting for our team. This is the first time we've been designated as a magnet organization. Our sister hospitals, we have 2 that have already been designated and have started on their redesignation. So it really is an honor. And it really speaks a lot to how we care for patients here in our organization and how we care for our nurses and how we support them in their endeavor to grow professionally and develop professionally.
And that's a really good point too, Stephanie, because not only is it important for our nurses to be successful in taking care of our patients and provide them with the best care possible, that ultimately does, in many ways and ways, shapes, and forms, come back to the hospital system and the nursing staff from an executive level, from an organizational level, supporting them and providing them the resources to provide this sort of care to these patients. So now, how is that manifested from your side of things as a chief nursing officer and with the president of Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital and across Henry Ford Health to facilitate the ability for our nurses at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital to achieve this significant achievement of being a magnet hospital?
What it does is it also attracts nurses who have that greater potential to our organization. And for those who just need support and a leg up, Henry Ford Hospital does that. We pay tuition reimbursement. We have sign-on bonuses. We have opportunities for them to grow and develop professionally, and we have all types of care. It is a wonderful thing for our nurses to be able to come here and go to work and have an employer that really does value them for what they bring to the table, and that is 24/7 care for all of our patients.
We're joined by Stephanie Roberts-Newman. She is the Chief Nursing Officer at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, a big accomplishment for them recently, receiving their Magnet designation for the American Nurses Credentialing Center, or ANCC. And this is not just a big accomplishment, it is a unique accomplishment. You mentioned that two of your sister hospitals within the Henry Ford Health System also have this designation or are pursuing redesignation. But Shana Johnson, the president of Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, in the press release announcing this, mentioned less than 10% of hospitals that pursue this or have the chance to pursue this end up getting that designation. What does that ultimately say, Stephanie, about the quality of care, the resources, and the teamwork that goes in to providing the utmost of nursing care at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital?
It speaks a lot to it. When you think about the number of hospitals that we have in the United States, and this is an international honor, it's less than 10% of about 10,000 hospitals worldwide. It says a lot about Henry Ford Health. It says that they're very supportive of their nurses and that they have the very best nurses working in their organization in this particular area. So it speaks volumes to our nursing care. It speaks volumes to our employer, Henry Ford Health.
This is a high designation for nursing, as you mentioned, both nationally and internationally. But it's not just an honor. It's not just a feather you can put in your cap in the nursing department at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital or across this health system. There are statistics behind this. There is data that shows that hospitals that are able to achieve this designation do have significantly better outcomes with their patients. And what does that show? Ultimately, why was this such an important designation to pursue for your team?
Well, again, it recognizes work that has already been done. So it really shines a light on the fact that we have high quality standards. Our mortality and morbidity rates are lower than most hospitals in this country. It speaks to how we care for patients and the type of care that we provide. We can't do that in nursing without our physicians, respiratory therapists, physical therapy, occupational therapy, our EVS teams, our food nutrition teams. All of those things are foundational and needed to be able to care for our patients here at Henry Ford. So it really does speak to a team effort, but it is the highest designation and honor for a division of nursing to have.
You can learn more information about the Magnet designation on Henry Ford Health on Facebook or henryford.com. Again, that's Henry Ford Health on Facebook. They just recently posted about the hospital receiving its Magnet designation, a big celebration and a very due celebration at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. When you're over there, whether you're visiting a patient, maybe you're in there for some care yourself, thank your nurses and congratulate them on some great teamwork leading to massive success at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Before we let you go, Stephanie Roberts-Newman, Chief Nursing Officer at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, is with us. Anything else you'd like to say to your staff, to the community, as you receive this massive honor?
Yeah, I would like to say next week is Nurses Week. If you all can come out to Henry Ford West Bloomfield and help us celebrate Nurses Week, we will be flying our Magnet flag. There is plenty of parking in our new parking structure, so come on out and help us celebrate. We will be flying that flag on May 6th around 11 o'clock a.m. So please join us if you can.
Yeah, a great place to go out and give them your thanks and cheer them on as they celebrate a huge accomplishment for not only Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, but for our medical community here in the greater West Bloomfield area. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time, and of course, congratulations to your team.
Thank you so much.
henryford.com is their website. You can also learn more information and celebrate their accomplishment. Comment on their post on their Facebook page at Henry Ford Health. It is at the top of the page as they celebrate this big accomplishment in nursing and care at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Kevin, great to hear from the team over there. Greater West Bloomfield's #1 employer and providing some of the utmost health care right here in our community.
Always great to hear from our first responders, the leaders of our first responders, and the ones in healthcare, our healthcare workers, and just getting their recognition and the things that they are doing to help our community. I definitely appreciate it. My girlfriend being a nurse too, I see it firsthand. So it's great that they were acknowledged for the work that they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And having been a patient in the hospital fairly recently, in fact, a year ago to the date of our discussion today, I walked out of that hospital after that care. And I got to say, those nurses over there provided excellent care for 2.5 days for me. And I know that they do that for so many other people in much worse situations too. And like you said, you understand what it's like to live in that life through your significant other being a nurse. And it is a tough job. It is sometimes a thankless job. And in these scenarios, when they make these massive accomplishments and show how great of care they're providing in our community, they very much deserve our thank yous. Across the community in Bloomfield Township, 48th District Court, which does cover our community, is offering late fee forgiveness for civil infractions, but the date is just about to start and that time window relatively short. So we're going to give you more information on that so you can be aware.
And that's where we step in, Tyler, the Splash Live, just giving out more information regarding this 48th District Court late fee forgiveness program. Very beneficial for people who may have civil infractions. And joining the Splash Live now to talk a little bit more about this program, Court Administrator for the 48th District Court, Patrick Dunn. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here this morning to talk about our program and how it can benefit the residents of West Bloomfield, as well as the other communities that we service.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we're looking at is basically late fees being waived for civil infractions. The program does have specific dates that this runs, May 1st through June 16th. Can you just tell us initially what kind of prompted this program to start?
Well, this is an opportunity for the residents as well as the court to try to take care of some maybe outstanding tickets that may be having a negative impact on residents of West Bloomfield and other communities throughout the state of Michigan. Right. Tickets that we're talking about, traffic tickets, civil infractions. There is statutes that if they're not addressed or paid timely, that there are additional late fees that can be assessed. Penalties, it's basically a 20% penalty on top of the original ticket amount. There's also other consequences. Certain driving infractions, civil infractions, can result in a suspension of driving privileges. It can also result in a bench warrant being issued for someone's arrest. So this is an opportunity during this time frame for somebody to save a little money on their ticket that they may have neglected to address timely, to also possibly get their license back if it has been suspended, and to clear a bench warrant so that they're not out there driving with a bench warrant, and that could help them with employment opportunities, credit checks, all those different kind of things.
Right. Great point. So you're saying if someone has a civil infraction and they have a bench warrant out for their arrest because of that civil infraction, this can be an opportunity for them to go into the court, pay that original fine, and get that bench warrant cleared, correct?
That is correct, yes. So
great information.
The court is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I would encourage people that realize that they have a ticket out of 48th District Court. We cover the communities of Birmingham, Bloomfield Township, Bloomfield Hills, Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, as well as West Bloomfield and Kego Harbor, this is an opportunity for them to take care of maybe a ticket, like I said, that they've neglected. They can contact the court at 248-686-5150 and talk with someone from the traffic department, one, to make sure that they're eligible for the program. We are talking about just civil infractions, not misdemeanors. And to make sure that they can get confirmation of the amount that they owe, as well as the amount that they would be saving, and how to go ahead and make that payment, whether it's online or in person or through another method that the court provides.
Got you. Great information. Thank you for providing that. Joining us right now, Court Administrator for the 48th District Court, Patrick Dunn, telling us about the 2024 Late Fee Forgiveness Program from the 48th District Court, which runs from May 1st through June 16th of 2024. So we are also just very quickly. I know that you have certain hours for the court also. Is there any way, like, let's say someone gets off work as soon as the court closes? Are there any other methods? You said online also, but there's a service fee with that. Are there any drop boxes or anything that people can do when it comes to those payments?
There is a drop box outside of the front entrance of the court that that allows people to securely put their original ticket, maybe if they have that, as well as a check made payable to the 48th District Court, and they can put their ticket number on there to make sure at least their names, so we're covering it in case they can't make it into the court during the normal business hours.
Okay, so here's another great question. What is the effectiveness, or how soon does that go into effect? Is it as soon as they pay and they get a receipt? Should they get a letter from the court, even if they mail it in or go in person? Like, how long does it take for that to actually get cleared once it's paid?
Yeah, I mean, if they come into the court, obviously they're leaving with a receipt. If they pay online, that also generates a receipt as well. Now, then it sort of depends on where their ticket's at. We do, if it's something that we need to update their record with the Secretary of State, their driving record, that takes a little bit more time, but not a lot of time, a couple days, so that they can get it over to the Secretary of State. And to clear a bench warrant takes a little bit of time as well, but the process starts that same day. Obviously, we want to get a bench warrant cleared as soon as possible, and we get that over to the police department to make sure that they clear it as well. So that happens the same day as well.
Yes, that is something that you will want to take care of as soon as possible if you do have a bench warrant. It would be unfortunate to go in there, pay, and as soon as you leave to have a situation where you would get caught up with that. So I'm glad that you clarified that for us. Join us right now on the Splash Live. Court Administrator for the 48th District Court, Patrick T. Dunn, talking about the 2024 Late Fee Forgiveness Program. Before we let you go, sir, any last words, additional information to let the community know about the program?
Well, I'd say that, this is not something that we offer necessarily every year. And you don't know when we're going to be offering it next. And sometimes it may be a different time period. So, like I said, it's a great opportunity for someone who really needs to address a ticket. Now's the time to do it. And we're here. Give us a call. Like I said, that telephone number, 248-686-5150. We'd be happy to help.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great information for you if you can't benefit from it personally, at least tell someone else. Make sure you share the content on social media so that everyone is aware of it and they can take advantage of it between that time frame. Thank you again, 48th District Court Administrator Patrick T. Dunn, joining the Splash Live to talk about the Late Fee Forgiveness Program. We appreciate your time, sir.
So do we. We appreciate giving us this opportunity to talk about the program. I hope everyone has a nice day and enjoys the great weather out there today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. You too. And this is our job here, Tyler, to make sure that we get the word out like this. People may not be privy to this type of information. Just letting a parking ticket or some type of minor infraction ticket sit on their counter and just let the fees pile up. Now you can get rid of those late fees, pay the original fee, and keep it moving, essentially.
Yeah, it's essential that you get those fines paid, and especially when you have this forgiveness program also that's in place that can either reduce, maybe even perhaps eliminate those fees, or at least, get them off the books if they are a little bit late without those penalties. A, it saves you money. B, it keeps you from any further interactions you got to have with the court. And look, Patrick talked about the relief program. You talked about it with us. And as we discuss it here, the courts don't want to have you back in there for more issues on a simple civil infraction. They don't want you in there any more than you want to be in there. And so a program like this only going to be helpful running May 1st through June 16th at the 48th District Court. You can find more information on this program and other programs in our local district courts and beyond on oakgov.com, or keep up to date on Oakland County on Facebook at oakgov. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. We'll take a break. On the other side, plenty more news and interesting stuff happening across our 4 communities. Stay with us.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Kego Harbor, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Good nutrition can help make sure you have enough iron, calcium, and vitamin C in your body, which can make it harder for lead to enter your bloodstream. Help protect your family from the harmful effects of lead.
One scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when. Take control. 1. Assess your needs. 2. Make a plan. 3. Engage your support network. Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Alongside Kevin McIntosh, I'm Tyler Keith. Thank you for joining us and keeping up to date with all of our programming on CivicCenterTV.com, on our YouTube page at Civic Center TV, and on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Kevin, we always are inspired by people that are helping us keep motivated, and especially those that are motivating the next generation to achieve greatness from an early point in their life and spread positivity throughout our community. And one West Bloomfield resident is an expert at that and working with our kids as we speak.
Tyler, it's about the kids, man. It's about the kids. It's always about the kids. They are the future, and it's great that I love when people of my generation or even younger reach back to the generation younger than them to try to show them a little bit of leadership and give them advice that they would have wanted to hear when they were their age. So joining us right now to talk about a program built or that was made for kids in the community called the Safe Zone. We have the leader of the Safe Zone, motivational speaker and consultant, Jonathan Jackson, joining the Splash Live. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you guys?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you so much for your time, first and foremost. So the Safe Zone, came across this doing our research in the greater West Bloomfield area, saw this on Facebook, and I just like, wow. A safe space for these kids, these young children to kind of see someone older than them setting a great example. Can you just give us the motivation behind starting the Safe Zone?
Yes, of course. So what I did was as I do have my own business, it's called JTM Speaks LLC. I'm a motivational speaker and consultant. So what I wanted to do was give back to my own community, right? I'm a product of West Bloomfield. I've gone to West Bloomfield schools for the last, well, actually all of my school career, from Gretschko to Scotch to Abbott to the high school. And I thought to myself, well, why not go back to the students that I was once in their shoes? And these were the same students that I knew that I could connect to in a special way to be able to show them that, hey, I am a product of where you guys are right now. And I want to ensure that you guys get the best training, the best motivation, the best real life example of where you guys can be, right? I'm not perfect. I'm not any better than anybody else. But at the same time, I know that I have some of the skill set to allow you to be successful in the ways that you can be. And for my students that I do have now, man, they are my pride and joy, because I was able to thank you to the West Bloomfield Coalition, and also Ms. James. You know, the both of them were able to take my vision, take my idea, take my my thought process and turn it into a reality. So if it was not for the coalition, if it was not for Lisa Berkey and Sonia James, this product of the Safe Zone would not be.
Yep. And you know, you kind of already got into it too, because I was going to follow up with the support of the community to kind of make this possible. Obviously, you couldn't do this on your own. You needed help from the administration, the staff, the parents, and obviously the cooperation and participation of the kids. So it's a full circle village type of thing to kind of make that happen. Now, I want to get into a little bit more of this in regards to the kid selection. So how did you go about selecting the kids for this this program, and then just get into the actual program, how long it was, what you all did during this program also?
So basically what we did was we reached out to all of the teachers and the parents in the school district. And then we were trying to see, okay, well, how small did we want this and how big did we want it? So we started off at the elementary school, because obviously every school could really use some motivation and some counseling and some mentorship.
Guidance,
Some guidance, absolutely. So what we did was we started with Roosevelt Elementary, and we emailed all of the teachers, we emailed all of the staff, and we said, hey, you know, who are some students that would be great for this mentorship program? Who are some students that are looking or need some extra push, assistance, guidance, whatever it is, you know? And they were able to send us a grouping of names, and for the reasons, right? And then we were able to kind of narrow down, okay, well, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And then let's try to pair them together. And let's try to all combine together where there are people of all different calibers. I always say that there is no such thing as a bad student, right? There are only such thing as a student that could use an extra push and an extra path to be able to lead them exactly where they need to go. So the program was originally set for 6 weeks, but because of the success of the program thus far, it has been extended another 8 weeks, but until the end of the school year. So and then now from the building of this, now we actually have next school year where we will be doing this program in the elementary, middle, and high school.
That is nice, and I love to hear that. Congratulations on the success. That right there goes to measure the success that you're having with this program. Joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have motivational speaker and consultant for JTM LLC, Jonathan Jackson, on the Splash Live, just talking about the things that he has with his program, the Safe Zone, with some of the kids in West Bloomfield School District. So let's just run through some of these key principles that you want to install in these kids during your program. What are those key elements that you think they need to have, that you feel like they are either missing or they need to work on a little bit, that you're going to be there for?
Absolutely. So even the name of the Safe Zone came from the fact that I want the students to be able to come into my classroom and feel safe. I want them to be able to talk about anything, be vulnerable, be open, have corrective action, right? I always say some of the same things to my kids. As a young man, there are certain things that you should just have a part of you, and that's respect. That's manners. That's being the example. That's setting the tone. That's having power under control. Do not lose sight of your why, and why are you even doing what you're doing? You know, we always talk about thinking big and not small. Think about where you will be months from now, or years from now, or if you do something, don't think about what you're doing right then. What's going to be the result of that, right?
Correct. Come on, man.
We always think about, okay, a lot of times my students, they may struggle with, and not just my students, just people in general, they may struggle with behavior, or they may struggle with their mentality or their emotions. But what I always say is think about it like a slingshot. When you have a slingshot, it's grounded. And when you pull back, these are things that are happening that may not be in your favor. And as soon as you just let go and you stop where you are and don't let it get worse, you think about where you want to go. You just let go and you restart. And as soon as you let go, it goes further than where you originally started.
Wow. See, there you go with that motivational speaking. It's coming out. Look, I'm already like, yep, there you facts. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, I love what you're doing with the kids. Like I said, as soon as we saw her here at the Splash Live, we said, man, we have to have him on. Jonathan, I appreciate your time, man. Unfortunately, we got to go, but I want you to real quick give out more of your information real quick about the program, how they can reach out to you, or if any parents or students are interested in joining, or maybe just reaching out to you just in general to get information. Tell them how, please.
Absolutely. So if you would like to get in touch with me, whether it's for the program, whether it's for speaking engagement, mentorship, a panel, hosting, you can follow me on Instagram at JTM Speaks 1. TikTok is JTM Speaks and JTM Speaks 1. And then also Facebook is Jonathan Jackson, JONATHAN, just to find me. And then if you need to reach out to me through text or email, that email is jtmspeaks1@gmail.com, and phone number is 248-385-2718.
All information right there. JTM Speaks. Jonathan Jackson, motivational speaker and consultant and leader of the Safe Zone program for the West Bloomfield kids. Thank you again for your time, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Such an honor, Tyler, to have people on that like to take their own time and initiative to help the youth in the community, give them that guidance, that leadership that they need and that they would have wanted when they were their age. I got to respect that, man.
Yeah, great things being done out of West Bloomfield by Jonathan Jackson. Nothing unfamiliar and a little bit of inside splash over here. If you've been watching the Splash over the many years here on Civic Center TV, the original host of our show is also named Jonathan Jackson, same exact spelling as well. So that really just goes to show. If you're in the greater West Bloomfield area and your name's Jonathan Jackson, you're probably doing something pretty good for our community. So congratulations to him, and looking forward to even more positive stories from his consulting and his work with our kids in our local community in the years to come. Down the street in the heart of the lakes in Keego Harbor, a transition is on its way for the Keego Harbor Police Department. Earlier this month, Chief John Fitzgerald announcing after 38 years in law enforcement, he will be announcing his retirement. Had a fond farewell to give to the city of Keego Harbor and a pretty fond response as well. Here's the moment.
I just want to say it's been an honor serving the people living in, working in, and visiting Keego Harbor. It truly has been an honor to be here doing this. Like I said, it's not my goodbye yet, so I'll see you guys next month.
A well-deserved round of applause for Chief John Fitzgerald after he announced his retirement at the Keego Harbor City Council meeting earlier on this month. He joins us now on the Splash Live to talk about his long career in law enforcement and his service to Keego Harbor over the last several years as well. Chief, congratulations on a great career, and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Tyler. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Glad to have you on to talk about this because your tenure as the Keego Harbor Police Chief really began at an important time in the history of the Keego Harbor Police Department. There was some turmoil financially in years before that, some questions about whether the Keego Harbor Police Department was going to continue to be serving independently in the city of Keego Harbor. Ultimately, that is what ended up happening, and you came in and continued to foster a really strong reputation with that police department. Let's talk about the early days as you came into Keego Harbor and really begin with what attracted you after you retired from the Southfield Police Department to get back into the game in Keego Harbor and law enforcement.
Well, I'd retired from Southfield, and I had almost a year off. During that time, my wife had been ill, and thank God everything came out all right with that. And just as we found out that was going to be okay, I was contacted by Chief George over at Orchard Lake PD, and he told me about the possible opening at Keego Harbor. And I looked at it and thought it'd be a great little community to come and work in. I'd worked in a much larger one with Southfield for 29 years before that. And I thought it'd be nice to have a smaller community where more people might know you and you'd know them. And I applied, and I have to thank the city council at the time. That city council and city manager, Linda Vole, Mayor Yoder, councilpersons Newberry, Meebrod, Kelman, and Fletcher, they all put their trust in me, hired me in, and it's been 6.5 pretty good years of working here.
And let's talk about that too, because as you mentioned, you went from a somewhat larger police department in Southfield into a very close-knit, smaller community in Keego Harbor. And with that, you got to kind of take, I would imagine, a different approach to policing because it is a community where everybody knows everybody, every part of that community is connected. And how did that sort of lead the way that you led the Keego Harbor Police Department over these past several years?
Well, I learned a lot from the guys that were already here, the guys that had worked in this community and knew the people. And my job was to pick up on what they were laying down for me, because you can't walk into a new place and just start going, hey, this is not like my old place, and changing things without seeing what's working and what might not be working. So I did a lot of listening to the guys I was working with here, the officers, and they did a great job of coaching me along for Keego Harbor. And then to meet the business people and the residents around the city, they've all been very welcoming during the time that I was here.
And you mentioned earlier on, Chief Joe George, former longtime police chief in the city of Orchard Lake Village, was the guy that kind of tipped you off to this job opening up 6 years ago when you did apply and you did ultimately end up being named as the chief of police in Keego Harbor. As you reflect on those years, what do you hold closest from the city of Keego Harbor? What's been your favorite element of serving this community?
I think it's just the people of the city, getting to know them, coming definitely from an outsider. I didn't know the boundaries and borders of Keego Harbor before I looked into it as I was applying. It's just someplace you kind of drove through, but you didn't realize you were really in it before you were out of it. And the best part's been getting to know the people that are here.
Chief John Fitzgerald with us from the city of Keego Harbor. He announced his retirement earlier on this month. He'll continue on with the Keego Harbor Police Department at least through the month of May. More information can be had on the search for his successor and going forward with the Keego Harbor Police Department on KeegoHarbor.org. And also you can keep up to date with the Keego Police Department on Facebook at Keego Police. And Chief, as you mentioned at the City Council meeting earlier on this month, you're going to be sticking around for a little bit. The retirement isn't immediate, but as as the city approaches looking for your successor, and you offered your advice and consultation in that also at the City Council meeting, what advice do you have for the next chief that comes in, whether from inside or outside the Keego Harbor Police Department, on what it takes to be a really, really solid police chief for the Heart of the Lakes?
My piece of advice to him, because the city council and the city manager is going to look for somebody that they can appreciate, but my advice is to be ready to be open to listen to your community and hear your community, give them an opportunity to talk to you, go out and about. I try to get out in the patrol car and drive through the neighborhoods and stop and talk to people that are raking the leaves, cutting the lawn, stop in the different businesses in the city and say hello. Community-oriented policing is kind of, I know it's a word you just toss out there, but it's not. It's really getting out there and knowing your people, because this is the kind of city that our officers and the chief is going to want to know who's here, who belongs here. You go down a street and you see a car that really doesn't belong there. It's in the wrong place, but you know that because this is your city you've been working in. You know the people that are here. If people are wandering between the houses and they're not from the neighborhood, and and you also develop a relationship with the people here that are willing to call you. I know so many citizens in this city have the direct phone numbers for our officers and for myself, and I'll get calls directly from people before they'll call dispatch for something, and I'm happy to give advice and direct them in the right way anytime they do give me a call. But I'd say it's the best, be open, and hopefully the chief will come from a place that already appreciates that kind of work. And when I was in Southfield, we had that with a community citizens group that I worked a lot with and really got to know them. And even though it was a much bigger city, that's the kind of thing that helps, is getting to know your people.
And we know that the people of Keego Harbor very much do appreciate their officers and appreciate their chief. John Fitzgerald with us, the chief of the Keego Harbor Police Department, as he approaches his retirement coming up in May after several years of serving as the chief of police in the city of Keego Harbor. You had mentioned at the city council meeting, it's kind of that perfect time to hang up your badge and move on to retirement. Your wife is retiring. You're now retiring right alongside with her. What are you looking forward to the most in your retirement?
I think our time together, I just have to say I appreciate my wife's support and my daughter's support for my entire career. Well, I was a police officer before I met them, but once they came into the picture, and for the last 30 plus years, their support for me through the weekends and the midnights and the afternoon shifts and the being called in because of being on a narcotics team and being called in on the SWAT team, holidays, working, the support of my family has been what's made this job even more enjoyable, and being able to do it properly because of their support. Now I'm looking forward to spending some more time with them, traveling. My daughters don't live in the area now, and so we're going to travel to see them. We're going to do other traveling where we kind of have a travel bug of different places we want to visit. So I think that's our first thing to start with, and I'm going to try and get good at golf. We're not sure if that'll happen, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Hey, plenty of time to get some practice in and get better over the years out on the links. Chief, thank you so much for your time, and of course, congratulations on a stellar career in law enforcement.
Oh, thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the people of Keego Harbor, the ones especially that were at that last city council meeting, the unexpected round of applause I got. I thank them. I'm humbled by what I've heard from people since I've announced that I'm retiring, what they've been telling me. I'm just humbled and thankful for a great career that I've had.
And we are very thankful to have had you here in the heart of the lakes as well. Chief John Fitzgerald from the Keego Harbor Police Department. You can keep up to date with everything happening in the city of Keego Harbor and through their police department on KeegoHarbor.org or by visiting their Facebook page at Keego Police. End of an era in Keego Harbor, Kevin. Big shoes to fill for his successor in Keego Harbor, but a great career, and I think that the people of Keego Harbor definitely, if you saw that city council meeting and that clip from us earlier on, very much appreciate the work that's been done by their local community police department.
Yeah, it's always, I would imagine, I'm not going to say so, I would imagine it's a bittersweet moment, right? Like I said, you spend so many years, decades, putting in the work, doing something that you feel like it's your calling, and then you get to a point where it's time to pass the torch. It's time to move on to the next chapter. So, you got to be thankful for his leadership in law enforcement in the community, keeping the community safe. But, you also have to be interested in the next chapter, what holds on from here. And, it seems like he already has his life planned out going forward, golf and traveling and everything. So congratulations again, Chief Fitzgerald.
Much deserved retirement on the way for Chief John Fitzgerald. Again, Keego Harbor Police Department on Facebook at Keego Harbor Police for more information. Some big accomplishments also at West Bloomfield High School recently. Many students recognized, among others in Oakland County at the Detroit Zoo, for their efforts in environmental sustainability by Michigan Green Schools. Students from the West Bloomfield High School's Earth Club, which stands for Environmentally Aware and Ready to Help, and as well as students working in their literary garden were recognized for their efforts in this inter-school recognition at the Detroit Zoo. You can learn more information about this accomplishment as well as the environmental sustainability efforts at West Bloomfield High School by visiting the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook page at West Bloomfield Schools. In addition, Kevin, some new amenities are on their way to the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, and some people, speaking of schools, getting a special preview this week as they vote in a special election for the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. Recently, we revealed one of the new amenities in the library, the relaxation room. Now, this that you're seeing on your screen on civiccentertv.com, going to be the new Community Commons room this week. It is the Center for Early Voting in West Bloomfield for those that are eligible to vote in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District's special election this month. So you can find even more information on the Community Commons room, even more updates as they wrap up the construction and renovation of that space at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library on Facebook at West Bloom LIB. And of course, for more information on our local elections, contact the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office and find all that information on wbtownship.org. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. The music's playing. That means it's time for us to get going. We thank you for joining us, as always, on civiccentertv.com, on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, and YouTube at Civic Center TV. For our entire team at Master Control, Calvin Brown, Anthony Juba, Jake Schaff, and Kevin McIntosh alongside me, I'm Tyler Keefe. Thank you for tuning in to the Splash Live.